Welcome. My name is Nikki Underwood, and I'm a pre-K quality support specialist with Bright from the Start. This video series, Phonological Awareness, the Pathway to Literacy, is intended to provide an overview of the skills on the phonological awareness continuum and how each step on the continuum strengthens children's phonological awareness skills to build towards reading readiness. In this video, we will look at the skill of segmenting. Segmenting helps children understand that sentences are made up of words and words have parts. Let's take a look at the phonological awareness continuum. We have already discussed the skills of listening, rhyming, and alliteration in a previous video. As previously discussed, the continuum begins with a simple skill of listening and builds to more complex skills. Listening, rhyming, and alliteration help children begin to isolate, match, and produce sounds in words. Once children have had instruction on these skills and have shown some mastery in these skills, they may be ready to move to segmenting sounds. On the continuum, you see first children will segment sentences, and then they will segment syllables. When segmenting sentences, we want to think of that as a listening skill. We are thinking of that as the ability to break language into individual parts. Sentences are made up of words. Words are the parts of a sentence. This is the skill which begins to strengthen children's word awareness. Word awareness is the understanding that sentences are made up of words and that words have smaller parts. Segmenting skills progress along the continuum in order, just like the other skills. Children will begin with segmenting sentences into words, and then they will move to segmenting words into syllables. Segmenting activities should always focus on listening. Let's take a look at two activities and see if we can determine which activity is a listening activity and which activity is not a listening activity. On the left, you see clap the words. Teacher will say a sentence such as, "The cat drinks milk." Students will clap for each word in the sentence. On the right, you see word counting. Teacher will write the sentence, "The cat drinks milk," on chart paper. Teacher will circle the words in the sentence as students count the words. If we take a look at each of these activities, we'll be able to see which one is a listening skill and which one is maybe a looking skill. The goal here is for children to be able to segment a sentence into words without having to count the words by looking at the words on a piece of paper or by writing the words, which they're not developmentally ready to do. The skill is that they should be able to listen and count the words in their mind or clap the words or jump for each time they hear a word so that they can be able to tell you how many parts are in that sentence or how many words are in that sentence. When we are writing the words down and we're circling the words or cutting the words from sentence strips, that's a good activity to do, but it's not necessarily strengthening that listening skill and getting them to listen for the parts of the sentence. So while one activity is listening, the other activity is not necessarily listening, although it is a valuable activity to strengthen this skill during another time of day, perhaps during a large group literacy lesson or during a morning message. Please continue to do activities such as writing sentences, drawing circles around the words, or writing sentences on a sentence strip and cutting them into individual words to count them and move them around. But when you're doing phonological awareness time, you should be able to do those activities in the dark. So you want to focus on activities that get the children listening. Sentence segmenting activities include counting words in a sentence using counters or manipulatives, or maybe putting beads on a string and moving beads when you hear a word. Clapping or jumping to count words in a sentence. Copying sentence spoken by the teacher. Can children copy a sentence, repeat a sentence that the teacher said? One fun game to play with that is a telephone game that we maybe used to call it telephone, or a whispering game where one child whispers, to the next child and passes the message along. You maybe want to start with shorter sentences, phrases, or even a single word when playing this game. And that is a great listening game to reinforce that listening skill as well. Another good activity would be to ask, what is the first word in the sentence? What is the last word in the sentence? And get them to focus in on one particular word. When we look at the phonological awareness continuum, after we tackle segmenting sentences, we're going to move on to segmenting syllables, to the very next step right up the continuum. Syllable segmenting activities should always involve listening and could include things like clapping syllables in the children's names, clapping syllables in vocabulary words that go along with the story you're reading, clapping or doing a picture card syllable sort where they're looking at pictures and clapping the syllables in the pictures. Are these 2-syllable words, 1-syllable words, or if they're even ready for more complex skills, are these 3-syllable words? Another good way to help children practice syllable segmenting is to break apart compound words orally and ask children, what are the 2 words you hear in cowboy? What are the 2 words you hear in butterfly? And talk about how compound words can be broken apart. You could even ask children to take away part of a word and ask if you can say the word cowboy, and then ask the children if they can remove the cow and what's left over. What's left over is the word boy. So if they can break it apart, maybe you can take them to an even more complex skill of taking one away and seeing what's left. Children often make errors when practicing the skill of segmenting. A common error that children might experience is when a child struggles with one-to-one correspondence when counting a sentence or syllables in a word. So if they're having a hard time clapping the syllables in their name, they're clapping too many times or not enough, you might want to do some listening activities with them. You could even get out some of your rhythm sticks or a drum and really accentuate and emphasize the syllables and the sounds that you're making in each word. Allow the child to hold some rhythm sticks when they're doing syllable segmenting, and maybe they will, if they can hear it emphasized, they'll be able to repeat it. If they're still struggling to repeat it and to break those words into syllables, you might need to back up and do some more listening activities, because it all goes back to listening. Whenever a child is struggling with any particular skill on the phonological awareness continuum, you can always go back and practice listening activities with them. Because if they're saying it wrong, they're hearing it wrong. If they're not able to successfully segment those words and clap the 2 syllables or the 3 syllables for their name, if they're not able to do that along with you, repeat what you're doing, then they're probably hearing it wrong and just need more practice with listening. Children are ready to move up to the continuum to the next skill, which is onset rhyme, when they can identify 2 words in compound words, break words into parts, identify and produce rhyming words, isolate and match the beginning sounds of words, and also break sentences down into parts, into words. So you would want to make sure that children have been able to demonstrate that they can do all of the skills on the continuum before moving on to onset rhyme, which is a phonemic awareness skill. I hope you will tune in for the next video, which will be on phonemic awareness, which are the top 2 skills on the phonological awareness continuum. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the phonological awareness continuum. Teaching, reteaching, practicing, repetition, and intervention are key to ensuring that each child has strong phonological awareness skills and is ready for the next step on the continuum. As I said, in the next video, we will be talking about phonemic awareness. Thank you very much for joining me. If you have any questions, you can contact me at the email address you see on your screen. You can also reach out to your own pre-K specialist for further support. Thank you.